How's it going, guys? So, some of you guys probably saw my personal wall today. I was at the funeral of these two boys. See, a couple weeks ago, there were two boys murdered. Today, or on Sunday actually, there were two men murdered. But really, they're boys. They were boys. I consider them boys. Two brothers, 19 and 21. They were at some kind of junction near a place called Hawara. Hawara is a town that you need to pass through if you're driving on Route 60 up to, Har Gerizim. If you guys ever read the Torah, you should get a blessing on Har Gerizim and a curse on Harival. If you're driving to Elon Moreh, if you're driving to Itamar, where there was an attack over 10 years ago, if you're driving to anywhere northern Samaria, you have to pass through this, what I call one donkey town called Hawara. If you ever drive through Hawara, it's basically like, I don't know, like mini markets, and then like, Dave Chappelle used to have a skit, liquor store, gun store, liquor store, gun store. So with Hawara, it's mechanic, like body shop, mechanic, and butcher. And sometimes they had cows' heads hanging from, the things that, the hooks where the engines hang from. One and the same. So these two boys were killed in Hawara, and I went to the funeral today. My friends, I don't know why I went. I was pulled. There was something pulling me. I woke up and I saw somebody posted an update in Hebrew, no less. One of those things you'd see in like Meir Sharem, one of these announcements bulletins. And I pretty much figured out what this was. I read essentially what it was, and I was like, you know what, I gotta go. I gotta go to this. And I think I've been here in this country during Gaza, skirmishes with Gaza. I've probably even been here during terror attacks, but I never actually went to the funeral. I guess you could use the word, I never had the schut, the merit. I don't know if that word's appropriate, to go to a funeral of terror victims. And I must tell you, it was, the feelings that I had ranged from, like, I sometimes wonder, how can you have numbness, anger / rage, sadness, I don't know, reflection, profundity, spiritual, I guess, elevation in some level, in a span of an hour, or an hour and a half, or 2 hours. How is that even possible? My friends, if you attend such an event, such a gathering, and you have any semblance of a healthy neshama, you'll have all of those sentiments. Some of them conflict with each other, right? In a span of an hour. And guys, I stood there. I climbed up. I stood up on one of these. I went to the second kind of, like, they have like, I don't know if you would call them platforms, or what do they call those things when it's like a side of a mountain and you have the whatever, it's plateaus, and it's a cemetery, but it's kind of on a hill, so it's points where you could kind of go up there and watch from above what's going on, who are the speakers and everything like that. First of all, there was a sea of people, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking around, You know, one of my sentiments is kind of selfish. You guys are gonna laugh. Quasi selfish, you know. I'm not a married guy, and I noticed some of the ladies. You know, they're all like, I don't know, probably half my age, literally. I mean, they're of marriageable age, but they're half my age, right? I'm 42, so, and I'm looking at them, and I'm just like, these girls are not wearing any makeup. Um, you know, they're all religious, but they're not from like, I don't know, Mea Sharim, Bnei Brak, Flatbush, Borough Park. They're not from there. They're from, I don't know, they live somewhere in the hills of something that was, some town that was named after some town in the Tanakh, some place in the Tanakh, right? Biblical name. Or they live in Jerusalem, or they're studying in Jerusalem. And I'm looking at their faces, and I all I see is something called in Hebrew, something called Chain. The translation to English is grace. It doesn't do it justice, right? And all I could think was, you know, thanks Hashem, you made me miss the boat, you know. And a friend of mine, I wrote that to a friend of mine. He's like, what do you mean you missed the boat? I'm like, dude, what are they gonna do with me? What am I gonna do with them? They're babies. Some of these girls are, you know, if I was part of their community, I could be their father, old enough to be their father, really. That was one thing. Another thing is I looked around at these boys, a lot of these guys. You know, some of them are pre-army guys, some of them are yeshiva guys, what's called Hester Yeshiva. You know, a lot of these guys go to these academies. That's where the younger brother went, I think. He was 19. He was about to go to the army. So he was in Hesder Yeshiva, if I'm not mistaken, and basically it's a preparatory academy for religious guys, Dati Lumi guys, who before the army. So for those of you guys saying, "Oh, religious people don't serve in the army," these are the guys that comprise at least 60% of the officers' candidate school of the IDF. These are the guys. And so both these brothers, you know, I think the older one was in the army, so they were both, you know, buried in this military cemetery. You know, and Har Herzl, Mount Herzl in Jerusalem. But I'm looking around at these kids who attended the funeral, thousands of these kids, and they're all the same age, and I'm thinking like they probably have it in their heads like it could be any one of them, Chas v'Shalom. It could have, you know, all these kids are probably thinking this could have been me. Why wasn't it me? I live in that part of the country. I live in Har Bracha. I live in Itamar. I live in, you know, somewhere over there. Shiloh even. Ariel. Tapuach. They're thinking, how is it these two kids? What you know? Somebody astute may have made the connection. Okay, like you had two young brothers 2 weeks ago, and now you have two brothers here, 2 years of each of, you know, pairs of brothers 2 years apart. Okay, whoop-de-doo, wonderful. Like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, these kids, some of them voted, right? Most of them were able to go vote. A lot of them voted for the, so to speak, right-wing candidates. And I'm wondering how many of these kids have enough seichel, or maybe have enough intuition, or have enough, dare I say, I mean, I don't know if they have enough life experience to understand that they've been duped. And if they didn't understand that they were duped 2 years ago, for sure now they understand that they are duped. For sure. I hope, I really hope, whoever's watching this, guys, those of you guys speak English, you know, some of you guys in that community, I hope you get it now. If you don't get it now, I don't know when you'll get it. You'll never get it. And I looked around, guys, and I thought to myself, you know, a lot of these people are the same people that ran to take you know what, because their so-called rabbis told them to do it. And I saw a bunch of their rabbis at this event. Some of them spoke. The politician who spoke was the one who said that only the people who took the stuff should get their lives back. This is a, for those of you guys in America calling people who are against the stuff right wing, this guy, you guys should know, this guy is as right wing as it gets. He's so right, he's almost to the left, as we say, jokingly, okay? And he ran around Israel. Guys, just goes to show, they made this about left and right. It's got nothing to do with left and right. It has to do with statism. And who are the most statist people in Israel? Religious, Dati Leumi people. They believe in the state. I don't know what they believe in more. Hashem or Torah or Torah or the state. And this guy got up there and he said some stuff and things and stuff. And mostly platitudes, political platitudes, some Torah. I said to my friend, anything besides Torah, these guys get up and say anything besides Torah, well, that stuff you can put it under the category of pissing in the wind, okay? That's the category of their the speeches that they give. Pissing, I call it pissing in the wind. You ever piss in the wind? Piss at yourself, okay? So, and I thought to myself, guys, I'm looking around and I'm like, I really hope Hashem spared these kids. Because, listen, why do you guys think that the leftists are going berserk? The leftists are going berserk because they understand that for better or worse, in their minds it's worse, that these kids are the future of Israel. And that the leftists, are not the future of Israel. They're the past of Israel, or definitely not the future of Israel. And it scares them half to death. It scares them out of their wits. And, okay, I agree that they are for the future of Israel, but in order for these people to be the future of Israel, they need to stay alive. And when I say stay alive, my main concern, I never thought I'd say this, my main concern are not our cousins. My main concern is the stuff that they put in their bodies, that they ran on the order or the decree or the psak or the halakhic ruling, legal Torah ruling of, so to speak, Torah ruling, right? Justified, of their rabbis, so-called rabbis. Guys, one last thing, at some point I left. I stood there I literally stood there for 2 hours. I didn't sit once. I was filming this live, so I held my arms, at one point my left arm like this for, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So I left, and as I was leaving there was a minyan, there was a mincha. Okay, I decided to daven mincha. A few guys, and as we were davening mincha, we could still hear the proceedings up above us, because we were at the bottom of the hill. And all of a sudden, so we get into, the main blessings of what's called the Shemona Esrei, the Amidah. And all of a sudden you can hear, I think it was the sister. The sister was speaking. Now that I know, I thought it was the mother, it was the sister. And the sister's voice was just this, understandably so, this discordant, yelp and screech, and she did, it's a person, you could hear that it's a person who doesn't know what to do with themselves. Understandably so. They just lost her brothers. She doesn't, the soul doesn't know how to express itself, so it's just emitting sounds that are like, one is louder than the other one, and loud and quiet and loud and quiet and, high pitch, low pitch, all over the place. And in that moment, I'm davening, and I get to the parts about, where it talks about rebuilding Jerusalem, where it talks about, in English it's Davidic reign, right? It talks about reestablishing the Sanhedrin. It talks about all the things that entail, basically, the times of Mashiach. It talks about the redemption. And I'll tell you guys, I never had more, it's called Kavana, I never had more focus and intention on those parts as I had today. Like, I heard that noise that I just described to you guys, and I wanted it to stop, not because not because it was annoying me, it wasn't. Because I just wanted it to stop. I want all of it to stop. I want these people to not lose their loved ones anymore. I want these people to be able to see their loved ones again, if we're talking about the resurrection of the dead. It's enough. I was asking Hashem, it's enough. And guys, you should know, mea culpa. I say this all the time. Much less davening in a minyan these days. I hardly daven mincha. It's the one prayer of the day that I just skip it. Not because I don't believe or whatever it is. I'm having issues right now. And the past couple of days, for some reason, I've been finding myself davening mincha, not only davening mincha, the midday prayer, but with a minyan. And I made the resolution today to start doing that. I don't know if I'm going to succeed, but I'm going to try, do my best. And yeah, guys, all I know is that's what I felt today. And I really hope that these kids got whatever they put in their bodies was basically not enough to do anything to them. I really hope that's the case. Even though we know that there's some people in this country that got enough to do something to them, unfortunately. I made a post, I said, there's a photo of all these people, and I said, these people were murdered, but the murderers were not Arabs. I'm going to let you figure out who it was, okay? So, yeah, guys, I don't know. It's one of those things, and I told my friend Frank, and he always says there's other ways to learn lessons, there's other ways to have a profound experience. There are better ways to have a profound experience, there are better ways to have, to connect with Klal Yisrael, to connect with your brothers and sisters in the Jewish nation. My friend's asking, what's Borei Olam? Borei Olam is creator of the world. But I'll tell you guys again, what I said in the beginning, I personally never had this in a 1 hour span where I went from like numbness, like anger, sadness, spiritual, elevation, or spiritual connection, and then, rinse, repeat, that kind of thing. It was just that cycle of those kind of four sentiments in an hour span, 1.5 hours, 2 hours. It was very powerful, to say the least. Maybe because of the place, maybe because of the people around me, maybe because of what it was, what was going on. I don't know, guys. I mean, yeah. Not much else to say here. But I really hope that these kids realize, if they didn't realize that they were had 2 years ago, I really hope they realize they've been had today. And frankly, with regards to what happened last night, the reprisal, for anybody who's listening, any leftist listening to this, trust me when I tell you, no one, except for, a couple of people, even in that community, wanted to come to this, want to go out and go do this. No one. But when the government doesn't do anything, when the government renders its own people basically sitting ducks in a shooting gallery, if you guys ever been to a carnival, those ducks, and you just shoot them, pick them off. Today, guys, as the funeral was ending, a 27-year-old guy, Oleh, a guy who made Aliyah from America, a 27-year-old guy was killed. As the funeral for these two boys was ending, a 27-year-old guy was gunned down near Jericho, near on Route 90. My friends, I don't know. What can we do? What can we do? Should we take one of these politicians and shake them? I don't know. Scream in their face. If I was the family of these kids and I saw Smotrich, I would scream in his face. I would literally disrupt him. He gave a speech today. I would disrupt him. I would scream. There were people screaming while he was kids. They were saying something. You know? I think they were screaming like revenge, something along those lines. My friends, I mean, I don't blame them. It's enough. When I say enough, I'm talking about decades. I'm not talking about these past, I don't know, few weeks. I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about decades. Way before there was an occupation. Way before 1967. Way before Rabbi Kahana the what he called himself. He said Rabbi Kahana the fascist. Way before me. 1929. My friends, it's enough. It's enough. Speak. We're done. Anyway, guys, the rant's over. I don't wish this on anybody. I think we should have no more of these events. I lost a lot of weight. I'm fine, Baruch Hashem. It's called being in Israel, walking around, not eating garbage. Alright, guys. I'll talk to you soon, hopefully under better circumstances. Alright. May the Neshamas have an aliyah, and may we not hear about any of this kind of stuff anymore.